This is why unboxing videos are so goofy and so stupid. If you're watching this video, you already know what's inside this box. But I just got home and UPS just left this on my porch, so you already know what's inside. Yaesu FRG-7, FRG-7, FRG-7. Maybe the Volkswagen Beetle of shortwave communications receivers. I haven't really done anything to the radio yet, and I doubt I'm going to do anything electronically. Let me take that back. I did one thing electronically, and I'm going to show all my pieces and parts here. I bought this off of eBay, supposedly old new stock. I seriously doubt it, but the battery holder looks like brand new. I don't think it is brand new. I think this guy just repackages them, puts in this kind of fake instruction sheet. So you can see there's really nothing to putting this battery case in. This unit did not come originally with a battery case, so I was lucky. There was some corrosion on the inside, but it was not from a exploding battery. But you can see how this thing goes in. Now, the original plate, this plate right here, has one Phillips head screw. And I thought that was how you took the plate off. And I kept spinning it and spinning it with no luck. It actually comes off with these four plastic, we call them pop rivets right here on each corner. And then you plug in, you put in your 8 batteries. It's a terrible design, but you put your 8 batteries into that tray, 4 Ds on each side, and then you plug it into that socket right there. Again, I doubt this is Yaesu new old stock. This is the original plate. You'll see that's where I tried to unscrew it, and it just comes off. It's on with these plastic pop rivets, and then you have a holder right there for the battery tray socket. So that's all there is to that. Cosmetically, needs a little bit of work, nothing major. This is late March. We've had 4 blizzards and a torrential rainstorm. We had another rainstorm in New England last night, and the water down in the basement, of course. This is the winter that just will not end. So we're going to try to at least, the cosmetic work, well, I cleaned the front panel. I used electronic wipes. I'm guessing this thing was down on the coast because it shipped from the North Shore of Massachusetts. And it does have, well, I think the owner was probably also a nicotine fan, because I did wipe off just this yellow tar off of the front panel. It's a heck of a lot better than it was. But I'll show you what I'm up against here. I bought some steel wool. We're going to take the case apart. I've got these little pill holders here. I've got flatheads. I've got Phillips, because we're going to pop the cover off. Got a wire brush. I'm going to try to scrape down. We've got some corrosion right there on the outer case. Someone online told me that winter gray in gloss was a great match for Yaesu gray. So we got 2 cans of Rust-Oleum and, oh geez, oh yeah, got a can of primer, 2 cans of winter gray. We've got some super penetrating lubricant I got at the dollar store. I'll try to spray that into here, make scraping that off easier. So I think we've got a little bit of cosmetic work here to do. I doubt I'm going to paint it today because of the howling wind that just... I'm about 50 miles from the shore, and every day is like a tornado here, but anyways, electronically the radio is amazing. I had it on the last couple of nights. It works like a charm. So I'm going to take a look at the capacitors once I open it up, see if we don't have anything split or cracked or blown up. And well, I'll show you the back too. Swing this around here. Edit free. One thing they never tell you is that if you're going to run an antenna, a 239 connector off of this thing, you need to jump these two leads right here. This is one is a shortwave and one is for AM. If you want to run both from this one antenna, you need to run a jumper cable. With regards to the battery conundrum with these radios, don't be afraid of running it off of DC current. Just put a little tag right on here with the date. This is what I do with my Zenith Transoceanics. These things are, you know, just keep an eye on it. It's not a ticking time bomb. Use good batteries in it. I put 8 Duracells in there. They're not going to blow up. So next thing, we'll pop the hood. So there was a little corrosion on the chassis, but not where you would think that it would be indicative of leaking batteries. It was down near this circuit board, so I sprayed some penetrating oil, let it sit, and then I took an old toothbrush and just scraped it down. So should be okay for a while. Electronically, I'm not seeing any bulging or split capacitors. This thing, like many FRG-7s, looks like a survivor. So next thing, we're going to take off the handle and the rubber feet off of the case and see if we can scrape it down. I think we're going to keep this radio as a parts radio. Suddenly, after taking the case off, it stopped working and went just about completely deaf. And you can see our lock light right here stays on. Nothing I do to adjust the megahertz switch will get that light to go out. And the radio is just about completely deaf. So if this thing, this would have died sooner or later. So I didn't pay that much for the radio. I think we're going to keep it for parts and probably order up a new one.
Reports the film provides a timely marketing boost for virtual reality headsets.
I cannot kill this radio. I let it dry out for a while. I think I was a little overzealous with the dust can. I blasted out this board, and I think I was a little crazy with the this area, the pre-selector and the megahertz setting. But it went deaf for a while. Now it's working. The only problem I have is that the lock light stays on, but you can see it does work.
Bolts holding the power steering motor in place can erode.
I don't think these radios die. So I thought this radio, as I mentioned earlier, was completely dead. I'm up on the upper bands now. Dead it is not, but my lock light remains lit. It's really easy to judge where you're supposed to be with this megahertz switch. Sure, I'd like it if this light worked, but for now, I'm going to live with it. It's tuning up. We're on 13 700 or so. And it sounds great. I believe I have a bad solder joint for the LED. I traced these two cables down for the lock light, and they come right down here. So I'm going to do my best to try to touch that up. Forgive me, I'm holding my iPhone right here, but these are the culprits, I do believe, because I traced this harness back up to where the LED is, and it seems to be drawing from here. And when I wiggle these wires around a little bit, I got the light to do its thing and go out and then come on when it's unlocked. If you know anything about the FRG-7, it's counterintuitive. The lock light turns red when you're unlocked and goes out when you're locked. Some guys change the LEDs around and use a multi-LED to indicate green when it's locked. It's probably not a bad idea, but we're going to live with this for now and try to do something about those wires and that connection. I think we got it now. Lock out, lock in. I think we're close. Long story short, lesson learned. Don't go crazy spraying air. Certainly don't go crazy spreading contact cleaner, but in this case, canned air. But this thing is working the way it should, just with a little fiddling and a little bit of tinkering. So I'll get on that case next. First coat of primer on. Not perfect, but we're getting there. It's going to look a hell of a lot better than it did before. So gray primer from Rust-Oleum. The case came out really, really nice. It's drying right now. I painted this out on the front porch, put some primer down, and then Rust-Oleum winter gray gloss. It is a near perfect match for Yaesu gray. I brought it in to dry because it got cool last night and figured I'd give it a fighting chance. It's supposed to dry completely in 24 hours. I just used some thin coats of primer and then a few thin coats of the gloss. It's not perfect, but it looks a hell of a lot better than it did before. The case came out really, really nice. Did some more cleaning on the chassis and on the front panel. Looking so much better than it did before. All that tar and nicotine that was on it is off. And I'm really starting to feel good about this radio. I had it tuned up last night. Today is April 1st, which is Easter Sunday, also April Fool's Day, and last night the pirates were out in full force, and I picked up a couple of them at about 6,900 megahertz. One was unidentified, and the other one was, I think it's called Skippy Radio. But I'll play you some clips from those next, and they came in really, really strong. The sensitivity of this radio blows me away. It just blows me away. And people today say, "Oh, it's not sensitive." This is one of the most sensitive radios that I've owned, and I have a R71, a Kenwood 2000 Hallicrafters SX42, the Grundig Satellite 800, the Sony ICF 2010. This thing just blows them away for sensitivity. So if you tune it right and you're patient, you can pull stuff in. It literally will pick up stuff through walls. So let's take a look at those pirates. Okay, getting ready to button this thing up. The paint has taken a little longer to dry than I would like, so I resorted to some drastic measures, and basically I read on the internet that you can preheat an oven to about 150 degrees or so, shut it down, put the unit into the oven, and let it sit there for 2 hours. So we're going to see how that paint finish comes out and then button this thing up. All buttoned up. Paint came out fantastic. Radio is working fantastic. I could not be any happier. This radio really has been a labor of love, and you can see looks 1,000% better than it did before. Man, I had a heck of a time trying to get the paint job to cure, but a couple of hours in the oven. Preheated the oven to 150 and put it in there, put the case in for a couple of hours. It came out fantastic. So I'm going to end this video. I'm going to show you a couple of shots of picking up the pirates on it, and hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to call it a refurbishment. I'm not going to call it a restoration, but man, I am so happy right now. This could not have come out any nicer, considering what we came from. Really pleased. So hope you enjoyed this video. Take care for now.